In Africa, people say, when a man climbs too high on his own head, he forgets the ground that carries him. Dr. Nathaniel Adebayo had climbed very high, so high that God, to him, was just an old story told to weak minds. He was 46 years old, tall, light brown-skinned, always clean-shaven, with a sharp jawline and eyes that looked like they were constantly judging the world. His hair was always low-cut, neatly trimmed every Monday morning. His suits were imported, his shoes shined like mirrors. He was a senior lecturer in philosophy and critical reasoning at Ekonla Federal University, one of the most respected universities in the country. Students feared him, colleagues admired him, and religious people avoided him, because Dr. Nathaniel Adebayo did not just disbelieve in God. He mocked God, he mocked prayer, he mocked faiths, he mocked pastors, imams, prophets, and anyone who believed that a higher power existed beyond science and logic. In his words, religion is the anesthesia of the ignorant, and he said it with pride. The class that became a battlefield every Tuesday by 10 a.m. His lecture hall was always full, not because students loved him, but because nobody wanted to repeat his course. He walked into the hall that Tuesday like a general entering a war zone. He placed his leather briefcase on the desk, adjusted his glasses, and scanned the hall. "Good morning," he said flatly. The response was weak. He smirked. "Expected," he said. "Prayer warriors don't wake up early." Some students laughed nervously. Others shifted uncomfortably. At the back row sat Samuel Callowell, a final-year student known on campus for his faith. He led the campus fellowship and always carried a small Bible in his bag. Dr. Adebayo noticed him immediately. He always did. "Mr. Callowell," he called. Samuel stood up respectfully. "Yes, sir, Doctor." Adebayo folded his arms. "I heard you people held a night vigil yesterday." "Yes, sir." "For what purpose?" he asked. "To pray for wisdom and guidance, sir." The lecturer laughed, a dry, mocking laugh. "Wisdom," he repeated, "and you think an invisible sky being will download wisdom into your brain?" The hall erupted in laughter. Samuel stood quietly. Dr. Adebayo walked closer. "Tell me, Mr. Callowell, if prayer works, why are African nations still poor?" Silence. "If prayer works," he continued, "why do hospitals still exist?" Silence. "If prayer works," he said loudly, "why do pastors still wear glasses?" The hall burst into louder laughter. Samuel swallowed hard. Then he spoke softly. "Sir, prayer is not magic. It is relationship." That statement irritated Dr. Adebayo. He hated anything that sounded poetic about God. "Sit down," he snapped. "Your relationship has failed you academically. Pray harder for your CGPA." The laughter returned, but Samuel sat down with tears in his eyes, and something unseen took note. A history of bitterness. Dr. Adebayo was not always like this. Once long ago he had prayed. Once long ago he had believed. As a child growing up in Ibadan, his mother, Mama Grace, was a devout Christian. She sold vegetables in Bodija Market and prayed over everything: her tomatoes, her pepper, her children. Nathaniel had loved church then, until the year faith disappointed him. He was 16 when his younger sister, Deborah, fell sick. They prayed. They fasted. The church prayed. The pastor anointed her. She died anyway. That was the day something broke inside him. At Deborah's burial, while people sang hymns, Nathaniel clenched his fists and whispered, "If God is real, he is cruel." From that day, he stopped praying. From that day, he started reading books that denied God. From that day, he decided he would never kneel again. And he didn't. The pride of knowledge years passed. Degrees piled up. First class, masters, PhD, conferences abroad, publications, awards. Dr. Adebayo became a symbol of intellectual dominance. When religious colleagues invited him to prayer meetings, he laughed. When students requested time off for fasting, He deducted marks. Once, during an academic board meeting, a lecturer suggested opening with prayer. Dr. Adebayo scoffed. "This is a university, not a church," he said. "If prayer could solve problems, Nigeria would be heaven." Some laughed, some kept quiet, but the seed of arrogance grew. The day his body betrayed him. The collapse happened on a Thursday. It was hot, the kind of heat that makes the air feel heavy. Dr. Adebayo was lecturing passionately about Nietzsche and the death of God. "God is dead," he declared, "and man is finally free." That was when the headache struck, sudden, sharp, like lightning splitting his skull. He paused. The room spun. His vision blurred. Students watched as their feared lecturer staggered backward. "Sir," someone called. The next thing he knew, darkness swallowed him. He fell. The hospital bed when Dr. Adebayo woke up. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. He tried to open his eyes. Nothing happened. Panic crept in. He tried again. "Darkness." "Doctor," he croaked. A voice responded. "You're awake." It was a nurse. "Why is it dark?" he asked. There was a pause. Then the words came slowly. "Sir, you are temporarily blind." His heart stopped. "What?" he whispered. "You collapsed from a cerebral stroke." The doctor explained later. "The pressure affected your optic nerves." Dr. Adebayo laughed weakly. "Temporary," he said. "Fix it." The doctor hesitated. "We'll try." That hesitation was louder than thunder. A proud man brought low days past. Darkness stayed. Dr. Adebayo lay helpless. He couldn't read, couldn't walk alone, couldn't even locate the water cup beside him. Nurses guided him, fed him, bathed him. The man who mocked prayer now needed help to use the toilet. Visitors came, colleagues, students. Some prayed quietly at his bedside. He scoffed. "Save your breath," he said. "Science will fix this." But science tried and failed. The student he mocked one evening. A familiar voice entered the ward. "Good evening, sir." Dr. Adebayo stiffened. He recognized that voice. Samuel Kalawol. "What are you doing here?" he snapped. "I came to visit you, sir." "Did you come to pray?" Dr. Adebayo asked bitterly. "Yes, sir." "Then leave," he said. "I don't need illusions." Samuel stood quietly. Then he said softly, "Sir, when Saul was blind, he also thought he knew everything." Dr. Adebayo froze. "What did you say?" "Saul persecuted believers. He mocked them until blindness humbled him." Silence filled the room. Samuel continued. "Sometimes blindness is not punishment. Sometimes it is introduction." Then he prayed, not loudly, not theatrically, just quietly, and something shifted. The night of wrestling that night, Dr. Adebayo could not sleep. Samuel's words echoed in his mind. Introduction. He remembered Deborah. He remembered Mama Grace. He remembered prayers he once said. For the first time in 30 years, he felt small. Tears came, uninvited. "God," he whispered, unsure why he spoke. "If you are real, speak." And in the darkness, a voice answered, not audibly but deeply. "You have been blind long before now." He trembled. The encounter that night, Dr. Adebayo dreamed. He stood in a vast field of light. A figure approached him, not angry, not smiling, just holy. "Why do you persecute me?" the voice asked. "I didn't persecute you," Nathaniel replied. "You mocked those who loved me," the voice said. "You wounded the weak." Nathaniel fell to his knees. "I was angry," he cried. "I lost my sister." The voice softened. "I wept too." Then everything faded. Sight beyond eyes the next morning. The doctor came running. "Mr. Adebayo," he said excitedly, "your optic response is improving." By evening, light returned. Blurry, but real. He cried like a child. A changed man weeks later, Dr. Adebayo returned to campus. But he was not the same. He apologized to Samuel publicly. He reinstated students' marks. He stopped mocking prayer. One Tuesday before class, he stood quietly and said, "If you want to pray, you may." Some gasped. Some smiled. The lecturer, who became a witness doctor, Nathaniel Adebayo, began to speak, not as a preacher, but as a man who had been blind and now saw. He still taught philosophy, but now he taught humility. He told students, knowledge without reverence is dangerous. Lessons from the story: 1. Pride can blind before sickness does. 2. Mocking faith does not make one wise. 3. God sometimes breaks us to remake us. 4. Prayer is not weakness. It is surrender. 5. Darkness can be a doorway to light. The man who bends before God will never break before life. If this story touched your heart, stirred your spirit, or made you think deeply, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe for more powerful African faith-based stories and share to bless someone else. Comment if you believe no one is beyond God's reach. Because sometimes God does not shout. He simply turns off the light so we can finally see.